Do you remember my old school 75-gallon tank? Well, about a year ago, I decided to start my own breeding group using lemon jake African cichlids, and all these fish you see here are the fry that came from that breeding group. The tank has been up and running for over a year. This was my first ever attempt at breeding African cichlids, and it turned out great. If you want to start from that video, I'll leave a link right up here for you. But as you can see, these guys are super fat and plump and healthy. I did get a couple of males out of the group. Now, while I haven't taken the time to vent them all, I think they might be still a little too small. I'm just going based off their color. I think I got at least 3 lemon jake males and at least 2 OB Taiwan reef males. Here's 1, 2, and 3 lemon jakes, and here's 1, 2 OB Taiwan reefs. The rest of them are either female or haven't developed their color yet. And I also think I have 1 female holding eggs right now. Check her out. So you may be wondering how I even got OB Taiwan reefs. Well, it didn't happen by some magical thing. When I got my lemon jake breeding pair, at the time, I also had some female OB Taiwan reefs. I don't even remember from where or how I got them or how I ended up with them. And I put those females in the tank with the breeding group. So a few female lemon jakes were holding and a few female OB Taiwan reefs were holding as well. But they were all fertilized from male lemon jake. Whatever ends up coming out here, I don't see any crazy patterns happening, but all of these fry were fertilized by male lemon jakes. And as you can see, I think I only got regular lemon jake pattern and a couple of OB Taiwan reef patterns. Nothing crazy, nothing special. I didn't reinvent the wheel or anything like that. Now, while I don't think that these guys are big enough yet to join the main tank with the big boys, I'm gonna give them a couple of more months. I want them to reach at least around 3.5, maybe 4 inches. I think some of them, the biggest one might be about 3 inches in here, but I don't want to put them into the main tank yet and get them stressed out immediately and then hinder their growth or stunt their growth. Guess what, guys? I changed my mind. Obviously, it's a few days later. You could probably tell from the facial hair, but I've decided to get these guys out of here and get them into the main tank for a few different reasons. Number one, I have started to finally see some of the dominant males in this tank actually get very, very aggressive with the other males and with the females. So much so that some of the males are actually spending the entire day hiding behind rocks or in little crevices, and they only come out to eat. That means that the more dominant males are stressing out the other males. So don't want any of that. The other reason why I'm gonna get them out of here now is that I need this tank. And I'm gonna tell you why by the end of this video, so stick around. But let's talk about the tank real quick. So this tank is using Seachem's Meridian Substrate. I'm using one wave maker up on the right corner, pointed to the surface for surface agitation. I'm using a cheap Night Crew light that I got off of Amazon, the same light I've always used on the 75-gallon tank. And of course, you guys know this tank has always had the thick 3D background from aquadecorbackgrounds.com and a couple of cichlid stones in there, so they have nice little hiding spots when they want to. This tank is only running a Fluval 407, which I have not cleaned, I don't know since when. It's been a long time. But as you can see, the water is crystal clear, the tank remains cycled, and the fish are growing, looking fat, plump, and healthy. This is what you want out of your tank. The intake for the Fluval 407 is back here behind the background in the chamber that was specifically made for your intake and for your heaters. Now, like I said, it's been about a year since these guys were born and raised right here in this tank. I think they're pretty much on pace as far as their growth. It usually would take about a year to get to a juvenile size like this, and then about another year and change to reach adult size. These 3 lemon jakes right here are showing so much color. They are absolutely males and they got great, beautiful color. And there's really only 1 dominant OB Taiwan reef. But I see this second one starting to show a little bit of color. It could just be slowing him down because he's not the dominant fish in the tank. Since these guys have been born, since they were little fry, I've tried my best to feed them at least minimum 3 times a day. 1 feeding in the morning before I get up to go to work, 1 feeding in the afternoon when I get home from work, and a 3rd feeding before the end of the day. My morning feeding will usually be some brine shrimp, frozen brine shrimp. In the afternoon when I get home, I feed them my Norfin pellets with my supplement mix. If you guys don't know about the supplements that I'm talking about right now, I'm gonna leave a link right there for you to check that video out. And then in the evening, I've been giving them Seachem's Cichlid NutriDiet Flakes. I like to change up the texture of their food just to make sure that everybody is eating, everybody's getting enough, nobody's a little too picky over one type of food or the other. I give them 3 distinct different types of food. And yeah, occasionally I throw in some jumbo krill, some freeze-dried krill, just to give them a treat. They're all super active, super frisky, full of life. I will say it's a beautiful thing to have some fry of your own and watch them grow and raise them yourself. But it does take work. You have to have a separate tank for them. First when they're fry, then a tank when they're grow outs, or just convert the fry tank to the grow out tank. Now a 75-gallon tank is a little bit extra on the grow out size, but it's what I had available. So they've had plenty of room, plenty of space to grow. Here's that female, here's that holding female right there. I'll give you a close-up shot of her in a second. I believe she's holding right there. And she's not even the biggest female, so that goes to show you. But I believe she's holding right there. She's got a little lump underneath her chin, which looks to me like she might be holding some eggs. I've got one pleco in here as well. I don't know if you can check him out. You can see him right there, chilling on the rocks. He's the one keeping this tank algae free. As far as maintenance on this tank, I've done the exact same 80% water change every single week, give or take. There might be a week that I miss here and there due to some kind of event, but I try to stay on schedule 80% every week, just as much as my other tanks, and that has also contributed to their growth and their health. Keeping the nitrates nice and low in a grow out tank is super beneficial. That's just gonna help your fish grow faster and grow healthier. I believe in my Fluid 407 there may still be some pot scrubbers in there. I'm not 100% sure, don't quote me on that, but I'm not about to pop it open and disturb it at all right now. One day in the future when I do an update to this video, I'll show you guys what I got in the 407. But yes, one single Fluid 407 is more than enough to filter this 75-gallon tank with this many fish at this size. If I had this many fish and they were all adult size fish, the 407 would not be enough to filter this tank, especially when feeding 3 times a day. But again, if they were adults, I wouldn't be feeding 3 times a day. So, you know what I mean? My wave maker stays on 24/7. I do not ever turn it off for any reason other than when I do my water changes, obviously, because the water level drops below the wave maker. But besides that, it's never off. And as you can see on the substrate, there is no poop and no waste. And the wave maker is doing a great job of the circular motion in the tank, pulling all of the detritus this side where the filter intake is behind the background over here on this side. And all that detritus is getting pulled behind the background. I am working on a new video now discussing specifically why and how the intake works so well behind these 3D backgrounds. If that video is out already, I'll put a link right up there. But I do also want to talk about the future of this 75-gallon tank. When these fish are removed from here, I think this tank, this 75-gallon tank right here, might have the potential to maybe be my very first saltwater tank.
Bruh.
I'm thinking about giving it a shot. I might try it with this tank right here since it's already here. It's not too huge, it's not too small either. So you guys let me know if you'd like to see me turn this 75-gallon into my first ever saltwater tank. Now, even though I'm not planning to remove these fish and add them to my main in this video, I changed my mind. I need this tank. And I'm gonna tell you why by the end of this video, so stick around. Let's get to work. It's really late at night, but I decided to go ahead and move these fish. You'll find out why in a second. So I'm getting my canopy off right now, turning off the lights. We're gonna turn off the filter, turn off the wave maker, get my handy dandy pump inside this tank and start draining it right away. It's going right down my sink, which I connect my hose with my nice clamp. Water's already getting drained. But I do need to fill up this bucket because this is how we're gonna take the fish out. And I'm gonna fill up this temporary quarantine 10-gallon tank with some water to keep the ladies in while we move the males over to the main tank. So I'm gonna try to grab all the females first, get them into this bucket right here, and then transfer them into the temporary 10-gallon, where tomorrow I'll be donating those females to my local fish store. And then I'll separate the males, get them into this bucket, and we're gonna put them right into the 210. Of course, I grab the male first. That really don't want to come out. Still more in here. Grab 2 males already, so maybe I'll go after the males first. So I was able to grab about 6 guys that look pretty male to me. They got a lot of color on them. I didn't vent them all, I'm just going based off of color. But because these guys are definitely a different size than my guys in the 210, I'll be able to keep an eye on these 6 guys
I'll know who they are, and I'll start to see if their colors really fade. As they get bigger, I'll try to vent them. But it's emergency time. I need this 75-gallon tank. So it's time for these males to man up and join the 210, and hopefully everything goes well. I left all the other fish in the tank that look like they're females. We'll go after them next, and I'll put them in the temporary 10-gallon tank. Let's get the males in the big one. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna go for all 6 same time into the 210. Okay, I got all 6 in the net at the same time. Check them out. See if you can get a good angle without them all falling on the floor. All 6 are in here. I don't want them to jump out of the net. Here we go, into the main. Welcome to the new home, boys. You can see their size much different than everybody else. There's definitely 3 lemon jakes. Here's an OB Taiwan reef. He's almost definitely the size of everybody else. He's not that small. Majority of them are over here in this corner. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 right over there. Look like they're doing fine. They're not freaking out too much. One more OB Taiwan reefs over here in this right-hand corner. But now that I added them, I'm gonna cut the lights, let them relax in here. Hopefully they don't get too stressed, and they'll be good to go. Time to get these females. Oof. Almost got them all. So why do I need this tank? Well, I'm actually going away this upcoming weekend for the whole weekend, and I'm not gonna be here. I have began to notice that my boy Scuba right here, the Stingray, I don't know how much you can see him, he's been looking pretty stressed out because, believe it or not, the discus in this tank are actually starting to pick on him a lot. I don't know if they're interested in his barb specifically, but it seems like they're going after his tail a lot, and it may be stressing him out to the point where he's not eating as much as he used to. So I don't want to take any chances being gone the whole weekend, leaving him in here unfed with these guys going after him all weekend. For that, I'd rather be on the safe side. I'm gonna remove Scuba from this 150 right here. I'm gonna put him in the 75 all by himself so that nobody bothers him at all, so he could de-stress, chill out, and just relax while I'm gone. And hopefully everything's okay when I get back. And then I'll start feeding him some new stuff to make sure that he's eating again with a healthy appetite. That's gonna be a good time. But not eating already, guys are picking on him, I don't like it, not at all. So we're gonna get Scuba into the 75 all by himself so that he can chill out. All right, boy? I'll take care of you, don't worry. That's why I had to get rid of the fish in the 75 now, but it worked out well because they're doing great over here in the 210. Nobody's chasing them, nobody's bothering them. And it's really late at night right now, so as soon as I get Scuba in there, I'm gonna cut the lights in the room, leave everybody in the dark, and he's gonna be fine. The ladies are in the 10-gallon quarantine tank right there, check them out. They're doing fine too. And they're gonna stay in there for the weekend until I get back. They've got air, they've got heat, and I put 2 stones that were in the 75-gallon with them, which has a little bit of bacteria on it, but I did dose it with Chem Prime. They're gonna be fine when I get back, and probably tomorrow's Friday. If I have time tomorrow before I leave, I'll get the ladies over to the local fish store. If not, they'll be in there for the weekend, they'll be fine. Always, 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 those Chem Prime or any dechlorinator of your choice, I like Prime, when you're adding new water to the tank, 1, to dechlorinate that water, but 2, also to detoxify any nitrate that was in that little bit of water that was still in the tank. I wasn't able to vacuum it because it was so low, so there is some waste on the substrate. I want to make sure the tank is nice and sterile for Scuba when he goes in there. I just gave it 3 capfuls of Prime, which this capful is 10 milliliters, which means it's good for 300 gallons. So somewhere around triple the dosage for the 75, which is gonna be just fine, but I wanna guarantee that that water is nice and safe for Scuba. Also, just because I'm about to net him, bring him over into a new tank that he's never seen before, I'm gonna add a little bit of stress guard just to keep him calm during the transfer. While trying to grab Scuba out of this 150, I can immediately tell that he didn't want anything to do with me. Scuba did not want to be manhandled. He swam away from me so fast, flying up the glass, trying to get away, but I was able to scoop him up, transfer him over into the 75, and settle him in nicely, slowly, and painlessly. So the 75-gallon update video actually turned into a stingray moving video. Well, Scuba's doing fine. He's doing okay in here. Now he's going to be all by himself, nobody to bother him. And this is only temporary as well. Make sure you tune in when Scuba goes into the brand new 450 when it gets here. I'll see you over there. Peace.